Two ultra races on two different continents. Each claims to be the world's toughest foot race. And each race is the toughest, in its own way. However, which one is truly the toughest of the tough? Badwater 135 has been called the toughest foot race on Earth and covers 217 kilometers, 135 miles, non-stop from the basin of Death Valley, California. The start line is located at Badwater in Death Valley, California, and marks the lowest elevation in North America at 280 feet. 85 meters below sea level. The Badwater 135 course covers 3 mountain ranges for a total of 14,600 feet, 4,450 meters of cumulative vertical ascent, and 6,100 feet, 1,859 meters of cumulative descent. The race finishes at Mount Whitney Portal at 8,300 feet, 2,530 meters. Whitney Portal is the trailhead to the Mount Whitney summit, the highest point in the contiguous United States. The worst part? It's a non-stop race, meaning you have to run from the lowest point in the United States to the base of the highest elevation in America, in one epic go. Far away from the United States and across the Atlantic Ocean is the Marathon des Sables, which also has been called the toughest foot race on Earth. One of the primary difficulties of the Marathon des Sables, a 6-day, 156-mile trek through the Sahara Desert in southern Morocco, is that you can't really run through it in many areas. The sand is so fine and so deep that it absorbs the foot's momentum, in addition to turning big sections of the course into a literal slog, even if it's relatively easygoing on the hardpan. Additionally, the occasional sandstorm can add to the mix. Competitors should be prepared for anything. Even though the course is well trodden, over 1,000 competitors sign up every year and come from 45 different countries, there's still real danger in the desert. 3 runners have died on the route. Badwater athletes have support vehicles, Each racer's support crew shall have a designated crew chief. Crew member's job is to cater to the athlete's needs with cold water, iced showers, sodas, endless food, and lots of affirmations. The crew chief manages the progress of the athlete and the pacer by running side by side with the athlete who is competing in the race. Marathon des Sables, competitors run on foot through some of the most beautiful and remote sections of the Moroccan Sahara, while carrying a backpack with essential gear, food, sleeping bag, and clothing for the week. The race organizers provide water, generally 9 liters per day, which is rationed. If you exceed the ration, you get a time penalty. As we can see, the 2 toughest races on the Earth have one thing in common: the heat of the desert. Both races are in extreme climates, with temperatures that regularly exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So, what makes a tough race tough? The athlete and his preparation. Meet 2 talented ultramarathon runners, Harvey and Mohamad Ahansal. Harvey won the 2014 Badwater 135 and achieved second place in 2016. Mohamad Ahansal has 5 victories at the Marathon des Sables under his belt and has come in second place 9 times. Both runners were under pressure to endure in a new, unknown environment and to be able to recover quickly. So what makes a successful athlete do well so many times in one race with similar psychological endurance requirements and then so poorly in another? It's hard to say.
I think it's tough right now. I think he's kind of at a low spot, or coming out of a low spot. He was in a bad spot a few miles ago and was cramping real bad, and took a little bit of a rest and kind of refocused and got some nutrition, and I think he's just going out to see what he can do again. And the last mile or so has been pretty good, so hopefully he can keep it up and we'll be able to maintain. But got a good crew, and it's never easy to do this kind of stuff. So,
on a self-supported 100-mile race, you have to push yourself beyond fatigue and pain. You have to learn to push yourself beyond starvation, dehydration, and perhaps beyond reason. Staying focused and concentrated for 10 or 20 hours of running takes a tremendous amount of mental energy in both of these races. But on a self-supported, ultra-distance stage race, preparing for it is more like planning for an expedition in the North Pole than a 100-mile-plus running race. Humans evolved to adapt to rising stress levels like an ultra race and a staged self-supported race. Although spending mental energy cannot be quantified the same way that physical energy can with oxygen consumption or caloric cost, it is still just as relevant to consider from a recovery perspective when participating in a stage race.
Every race is the hardest race. The mile is the hardest race. The marathon is the hardest race. This race requires a specific specialization. Running into the wind for 50 miles with only about 6 miles of non-wind is horrendous. Running with a 15-pound backpack with that 20-mile-per-hour wind couples that. 3, running in sand the equivalent of 3 inches of snow for 50 miles. All 3 of those together creates a perfect storm.
In a stage race, you not only have to recover physically, but also mentally for each day. On a multiple stage race, the most difficult thing is facing the adrenaline fatigue, since athletes have to get psyched to run every morning for multiple days. Running at the high end of 6 days in a row is extremely fatiguing. The fatigue catches up with you, and you have to rally each day to run hard once again. To summarize, preparing for any type of endurance race will be like nothing you have ever faced before. No first-timer in either race can ever truly know what they are going to experience. You will push yourself beyond your previously established limits of physical endurance and mental resistance. Exactly how you come to terms with your first ultra will be intensely personal, and there are various aspects of the race that you will definitely need to consider beforehand. It brings with it all sorts of new problems and challenges that you will need to solve if you are to survive your first race event. Harvey and Mohamad learned in both cases preparation was key in order for the runners to be victorious. Success depends on one's training, physical resistance, and physiology. Running an ultra race or a stage race will hurt. That is a fact. You will push yourself beyond your previously defined limitations. Humans are made to endure physical challenges. The real joy is seeing people who discover something beyond themselves that they didn't know existed. The only prize at the end of the race is that you finally get to stop. Therefore, victory is really only for those who can run the fastest and the smartest races.